Do you have a paranormal story you want to share on Night Dreams Talk Radio? You could be a guest. Email us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with our host, Gary Anderson.
Well, I hope everybody out there is having a great week. I tell you, the older you get, time flies by. It seems so much faster. I know I read an article, and it says why, when you get older, why the time flies by. I disagree with that. What is time? Time is what we say it is. I don't believe some of these articles. I actually think as you get older, time does move faster for you in your life cycle. Anyway, we have Michael on, and I know, Michael, James has some questions for you. James, here's Michael. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Hey, James.
How you doing? Hey, Michael. Hey, I got to ask, have you ever experienced any missing time, or do you ever notice you had an implant, or have you ever been taken against your will, or how's that work?
Missing time, yes. Implants, no. Matter of fact, at one of these conferences, I think it was UFO Congress, they had a big radar system to find implants, and they didn't find any implants, but he goes, I don't know what the hell you cleaned up our signal. I thought that was funny. But anyhow, no implants that I know of. As a matter of fact, though, I learned from Chief Golden Light Eagle that one of the things, a sweat lodge, that it brings the body temperature up so high that it will turn off any implants that you might have, and then when your body cools down, only the ones that are beneficial will come back online. Have I been taken against my will? Not that I know of, but the underground basin, Lake Erie, from what I've been told is I've been down there more times than I know, but they do have the technology to make you not remember, which I think that kind of sucks, because I'd like to know what happened down there. But it said that, my higher self, being Inky, I have work to do down there, and some of it I wouldn't have been able to process it in my past. It's that higher, the mic that's talking to you right now, and the mic that watches The Simpsons and reads the newspaper, that's not the mic that's beating my heart and keeping my immune system and body temperature regulated. In every single one of us, there is a much higher intelligence. And it's just most people haven't had the privilege of learning what their higher self, its name, and I have. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, so basically they make it where you can't remember because they don't think yourself here could handle it. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. It's
okay.
Yeah. Yes, that's I could get into more depth, but it's I guess okay. Psychologically, some of the stuff, it was pretty outside of my box. When I met them in 2008, first of all, I got to tell you that that meeting, they said, we want to talk to you about this blood anomaly revealed on the History Channel, because it's an indicator that you're of our hybrid bloodline known as the Nephilim in the Bible. And so that started this whole thing unfolding.
Yeah, it's now they told you that stuff, but they wouldn't let you remember. That's too bad, from what you were doing and stuff. That would be interesting to hear that, So you don't have
I've
any...
been asking them, how about let me remember now,
Yeah. Have you ever tried regression?
I did. It didn't work out real well for me. I actually did a show for Spike TV and spent 9 months of my life, and the show was finished and was supposed to air in the fall of 2012, and at the last moment, it was not allowed to air due to national security concerns. And the two hosts, one was a detective for the New York Police Department, but the other guy was a psychiatrist / hypnotist regressionist that was a trained Army Ranger. Like, he did hypnosis, and I was thinking, do I really want this guy like poking around in my head? But he also, you know, I have ties to Tibet and Buddhism. You know, that's another story, but he happened to have a prayer bead bracelet on, and we talked about that. And here he ended up being a practicing Buddhist and had ties with some of, like, Robert Thurman is one of the Dalai Lama's, like, right-hand men for translating Tibetan text into the Western world. And he was personal friends with him, so I trusted him. But during regression, you know, I can talk about, you know, I woke up while being worked on, and that was a horrifying experience. But you know what? Even if you're having a procedure in a hospital today that you want to have it, you've signed, you've given your permission, you still don't want to wake up in the middle of it. You know, so I can tell you that once I woke up and I said, please stop, you know, I'm awake, I know what you're doing. I couldn't see him, but there was a being that was to my right, and he said, oh, we're so sorry, we didn't know you were conscious, you won't feel any more pain. And I felt his hand go over my forehead, and I went out again, and
right.
But
whenever they let me ask you, whenever they would have you down there and do the procedures, how did that unfold? Did they come and say, hey, you want to come down here, we want to do some stuff, and you would, you know, agree to it?
No,
or you just would?
I didn't even know it was happening. The way I knew it happened the last time, this was probably around 2009, is I woke up and I went to brush my teeth, and there was blood on the floor. And I thought maybe my roommate had cut himself shaving and didn't realize it or something, because it didn't feel like it was coming from me, you know. And I cleaned it up. And then I went to brush my teeth again, and I looked down, and there was more blood. And I realized it was coming from, you know, not to be too blunt, but like the taint area. So, make a long story short, the hypnotist for Spike TV regressed me back to experiencing it in first person. I can talk about it all day long right now because I can keep myself. I'm not experiencing it in first person, but during that, they had to hold me down. You know, I was ripping. You know, when I got to New York, I didn't know this, but they had the chief of police for the New York Police Department there to do a polygraph, you know, lie detector on me. Passed with flying colors, by the way. But I was all hooked up to a lie detector test, and I was ripping the shit off me and everything. But afterwards, you know, that's I'm like, why did that happen? Why is the universe? Why would they want me to experience that? Because it caused traumatic stress syndrome.
Well, that's my next question, real quick, Michael. Do you have like post-traumatic stress from maybe some of those experiences, or, you know, because it sounds like it was a lot of trauma there.
Yes, yes. He being a professional psychiatrist, but I'll tell you what happened is when I went berserk, because you know what he would do is like he'd say, "Well, how are you feeling?" I said, "Well, I wasn't feeling good." He said, "No, don't say I wasn't feeling good. Say I'm not feeling good." Every time I tried to take myself out of first person, he would redirect me back, and finally he did it. So that's when I was flipping out, like, you know, stop doing what you're doing. And he immediately was able to talk me down and say, you know, you're just watching this like it's a movie, and now you're up above it, and there's nothing but calm and bliss, and, you know, and it worked. I quit panicking. I got my, you know, I was breathing normally. Then he said, now in the future, anytime that you find yourself in a place of trial or tribulation or something that's pushing me into that kind of panic attack, that I could give myself a hypnotic suggestion, whatever I wanted. And it could be a verbal suggestion or it could be a physical suggestion. And he said no one ever needs to know what those are. But, it was weird because for a couple months I was really just distraught with why the universe would have had me experience this horrible experience again. But it wasn't like 3 months later, my birth mother, because I was adopted, now I've met my birth mother, she had a stroke. So I was like having a hard time. And then during that, I remembered he taught me to use this self-hypnosis, suggestion. And when I did, it worked. And I thought, then all of a sudden I went from feeling like I had something horrible done to me, like going, wow, what a gift I was given, and I use it very, very often still to this day. Because I thought if it'll work when things are real stressful, what about if it's a nice, beautiful day and I'm not stressed at all? What happens then? And it does,
Yeah, it sounds like you opened a few floodgates there, and you got some memories of some maybe not so good things, but at least he give you some tools to work with that and overcome it. Is what it sounds like. Yes, indeed.
So, I guess all's well that ends well. From what I understand, the genetic work they did is not ended, and some of us are taken like the Harvard professor said. He goes, I would guess that you have some type of unknown virus that is tricking, the brain into releasing these massive amounts of creatine kinase. He said, everyone, when you think of virus, you think negative. He said, but actually viruses are one of the only things that can work at the level of DNA and at a cellular level. And some viruses are very good for the human body. So, who knows? Maybe when we're taken and medical work is being done, it's, implementing like this virus because what they told me is the Anunnaki wanted to come and incarnate into the human form to help oversee an experiment that they had implemented for humanity. They made us experience our own mental energy in an accelerated fashion, unbiasedly. If you put out light, well, you get light back magnifold, tenfold. But if you put out fear, you will experience your fear-based thought forms. And it hoped to help us blow through our shadow work because they knew the end of this Kali Yuga was happening. And so we don't understand this, but our consciousness is tied to the Earth's magnetic field. And when the magnetic field is almost at zero, which it is, the stronger the magnetic field, the more of the time lag there is between the thought and the manifestation of thought. And so during a very strong magnetic field, it might take a day, let's say, So if you put out a negative thought form and say you wish someone ill because you thought that they screwed you over, and then the next day you realize, oh, he didn't do what I thought he did. He's a cool dude. There's not going to have an energetic handshake. But as the magnetic field gets lower and lower, the time lag between the thought and the manifestation of thought gets lesser and lesser until thoughts are almost manifesting instantaneously right now. So if you haven't done your spiritual homework and weeded the fear and doubt and nonsense out of your own belief system, and each one of us has our own suitcase filled with it, that we, it's not a good combo to be in the end of